close the door. I was listening to Amanda talk earlier.
Okay.
Okay. We'll be Donald Trump and Steve Bannon.
Do we really want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
We won't dive too deep into it.
Because everything around us is a tire fire.
No. Well, maybe, but yeah.
Well, I'm just saying because we always have to say why we are who we are.
Oh, I will.
Okay. All right, you got a plan.
Yeah, I got a plan.
You're eventually going to see a clip from Jake Tapper's show today with Stephen Miller. And you know who Stephen Miller is?
Maybe.
He's one of the policy advisors to the president. And I've never actually seen a man insert his own head into another man's rectum, but that's what he did to Donald Trump on CNN today.
Just for the record, so you understand why, if you ask me, have you seen this? And I say no, we're starting a 21-day fast at church.
Mm-hmm.
And I am fasting all forms of media from the time I get up until sunset.
Okay.
So if you ask me during the daytime, have I seen this? The answer is probably going to be no.
Okay.
For the next 3 weeks. Just so I can yeah. Which for me is a sacrifice. For you would be a sacrifice. So you can understand.
Oh God. It's I would have to be able to do it, but also maintain some level of, I don't know. I don't know how not to be informed.
I didn't say all day. I said, until sundown. So it'll give me time in the mornings to because what often happens, and we don't need to drag this out forever because you've been up forever and we've got a podcast record. Mm-hmm. I start my morning with media, with news, and then it just kind of continues all day long.
Right. You just binge on it all day.
Right. And instead, I want to begin it with God and focus on God all day long. And in the evening, just, if I need to catch up on something, I'll catch up on it then.
Sure. Was that why church ran late?
No. Church ran late because we began launch groups. And I realized I was going to be introduced as men's director today, which was fine. I didn't realize Pastor was going to say, hey, Pat's going to be standing in the back of the church afterwards. And if anybody's got any questions, y'all go talk to him.
Oh,
and there was a bunch of guys who would be excited about men's ministry and come up and talk to me.
Yeah.
That's what I didn't realize. So if I had realized that, I might have, said we needed to do this another time. But,
fun.
He was like, yeah, Pat's going to be in the back afterwards to answer questions. I was like, oh.
Oh, I am? Okay.
which isn't bad. It's just, it dragged out 10 or 15 minutes I wasn't expecting. I mean, I was ready for all the questions. It just gave me 10 or 15 minutes. I wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. You got no heads up on it. Okay.
No.
How'd that go?
Oh, dude, well, great.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. The men are excited.
What do you got planned?
It's dude. What men want either one of two things. Either they don't want any part of being, how do I say this? And I don't want to say it wrong. They either don't want to be part of a men's group and they just want to hang around the outside of church and the outside of everything. Okay.
Yeah.
Or they are hungry for fellowship and to go deeper with other men. Okay. They're hungry for discipleship. They're hungry to have relations with other men so that they can get to know each other and have someone to share their burdens with. All right. And you rarely find anyone in between. Okay. There's almost no middle ground with men. All right. They're either way out there on the fringes or they're hungry for God and they're hungry for other men who are hungry for God. It's a peculiar thing. There's no in between with men. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
And what I found today was a lot of the men who came up with me are hungry for God and are hungry to do something. So that's good.
Cool. What are y'all going to start with?
Breakfast on the 20th, 21st, 22nd, something like that. And then the Super Bowl party the Sunday after.
Okay. You guys going to do like read a book or like what are y'all going to do?
I don't even know, man. Okay. I need to figure it out.
Probably get to know them a little first.
Yes, we're feeling our way through.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, I hope that goes well for you.
I think it's going to, man. We'll talk about this sometime. I think it is.
Cool. Is there anything you wanted to banter about at the top of the show?
No, I have nothing, which is unusual.
Wasn't there something you wanted to bring up last week and didn't?
We talked about it at the end, but I don't think so. Next week, we're going to talk about the 15 biggest WTF moments in Secret Empire so far.
Okay.
I think I've reached the date I can do that.
Okay.
We could probably do it now. We can do it now if we need something to banter about at the top.
We don't need anything to banter about. I just didn't know if you had anything.
No, I don't.
Okay. Oh, hang on. Give me just a second. Wait, what? Apparently there's an auction happening in Alabama with 50,000 comic books. Where's this happening?
I don't know. Where's it happening?
I don't know, but I'm about to find out. Give me just a second. Apparently some store closed and they're auctioning the stock. Dude, can I get a date? Dang it. It was Friday and Saturday. A bunch of their hardbacks were marked down to $5.
Dude.
Crap. Yeah.
Where was it?
Tuscaloosa. Hang on. They got a website and I'm going to see. Maybe they're going to do another one. Okay, there's an email address. I'm just going to email somebody later. Okay. Bummer, dude. Walk in there with $100 and just lose my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So no banter at the top. You get the intro ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, crap. I got some chapstick and it's cake batter flavored, and it's all right. All right. 3, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 Month Behind podcast for the week of January 1st, 2018. I am Pat.
And I am Sean.
Who is sitting there eating cake battered chapstick.
I'm not eating it.
He tells me this right. We're like 10 seconds before he starts to count down to cue to air. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got cake battered chapstick." I'm like, "Dude, are you like eating that?" What?
No, my lips were chapped. I needed some chapstick, and I bought some, and it was in the pack that I bought. And
it's cake batter, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's tasty.
You eat that stuff. Anyway, we're here, despite what the last 30 seconds sounded like, we're here to discuss everything in Marvel Unlimited that came out this week because we love Marvel. And this week, we are Steve Bannon and Donald Trump. Because have you ever seen a friendship go so south, so far, so quick, man? Just, dude.
No. Ooh, that's a big old blow up. And for those who don't follow politics, sorry, but
I mean,
that's just kind of overwhelming the news right now.
We're not gonna dive into politics, but literally, Bannon's office was next door to Trump's.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like 5 feet away.
Senior political advisor,
and he had free access to everything Trump was doing. Of course, he left back in July, August, something like that.
Yeah, 6 months.
And now Trump's like, I don't know him. Yeah. Don't know. He's a peon, man. He wasn't anybody important. You know, he didn't do anything important. Dude, holy
Steve
cow!
Who?
Quick, Steve who? Yeah, I don't know him, man. No, not at all. No.
Yeah, I don't know a Steve Barron. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen French, like, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady are kind of squabbling right now, and you knew that couldn't last forever because eventually Tom Brady was going to get old. So they're kind of like squabbling a little bit. But dude, this is just sideways, man.
This is a messy divorce.
Yeah, dude.
They're fighting over the children.
Yeah, and it's like Brady and Belichick are kind of having a divorce, but dude, this is like in the public for everybody to see in a custody battle. Yeah, it's bad, man.
On television, 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Hey, who's going to the Super Bowl?
Probably the Patriots and the NFC. I got to think about the NFC.
I know it's not over. They're playing for it right now, but
I would think Minnesota probably has the inside track. If I had to pick somebody, I'd say Minnesota.
Okay,
that's a good defense up in Minnesota, man.
Okay,
that's a good defense. They got a good running game. They got a solid quarterback. If I had to make a pick here in Wild Card Weekend, I would pick Minnesota in New England.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there you
go.
It's a really solid team they've built up there in Minnesota, and they finally got smart and built a dome so they're not playing outside in 20 below weather.
Dude, why they didn't do that 20 years ago? I don't know.
Why Green Bay still hasn't done it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we want to play on the frozen tundra.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you guys get hypothermia playing football, whatever.
You go play in 30 below. We're going to go play in our heated dome, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprised you're not pulling for the Titans.
I am, man. They came back and won yesterday.
Right, yeah.
I slept through one of the greatest halves in football, apparently.
Oh, okay. Well, you probably needed the rest.
Dude, I was crashed, man.
I hear you. Well, if you want to tell us about your Super Bowl predictions, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. Also visit our website,
www.6monthsbehind.com, where we have all types of information on Secret Empire, Venomverse, and some other things up there. I didn't know what Venomverse was. So
I thought it was going to be, because they're building up to a Venom thing in Spider-Gwen, so I thought it was going to be that, but it is not, as we will find out here shortly.
No, it's a whole big thing. It's still going on in publishing, which means 6 months from now they're still putting the books out. So, dude, it's going on forever.
Yeah,
it's a whole big thing, and so I didn't know what it was, and we got our first book this week. So I was like, okay, what is this? And I kind of dug around, and Dude, there's a couple of cool pictures I put up there.
Yeah, I saw
of some of the art. And anyway, so I just found a couple of articles and threw them up there just so people would know what Venomverse was, because I didn't when the first book hit.
Yeah. You can also check out our other podcast, What's Next. On this show, we tell you about everything new in Marvel Unlimited this week. On our show, What's Next, we tell you about everything that you should read that's already in Marvel Unlimited. We'll have a new episode of that soon about stuff. Yeah.
It's your turn to do an X-Men, but I got another one ready if you don't.
I got 2 that I'm working on. So,
okay.
We'll at some point when we're not doing a podcast, we'll talk about the other podcasts we're going to do.
Okay.
All right. And we also talk about spoilers in this show. So after this point, if you don't want to be spoiled, go away and then come back. That's the key part. You have to go away and then come back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whether you come back in 6 months after you've read the books, or you come back in a few minutes, come back. Right.
Because we're going to talk about Secret Empire, and starting with Secret Empire number 5. Do you have this open in front of you?
I do.
Okay. We're just going to go through it scene by scene here.
Okay.
So in Washington, D.C., you've got Madam Hydra, the original Madam Hydra, not the weird red lady that there's like a mom thing going on with her and Steve Rogers that's kind of creepy.
It's really creepy, man. I mean, you expect them to start making out in any moment, but she's like his mom, and it's really weird, man. What's the word for it?
Oedipus.
Thank you. It's an Oedipus syndrome.
Yeah, there's a whole Oedipus thing going on with this, because like it's her adopted son, but there's like some sexual overtones. It's weird. Anyway, the original Madam Hydra has captured Black Widow. Has her in custody in DC. They begin interrogating her when we find out that the real mission here is that this whole thing is a distraction while the champions make a jailbreak for somebody. And it's this old dude sitting in a hospital bed in a Hydra facility somewhere. And that's the last we see of him. We have no idea who he is.
Yep, he's coming back. Any guesses on who he is?
Let me look at him real quick here. No. Maybe maybe old Steve Rogers. I don't know. Nope. Okay.
I'm gonna tell you what, it caught me completely off guard when I saw the answer. So you could make a dozen guesses and probably not get it.
Okay, there you go.
When I finally saw the answer, I was like, "Oh snap! That's who that is."
Okay, let me ask you this: is it any of the people we see on page 8?
Oh no.
Okay, I didn't think so.
I just said no because he ain't in this book.
Okay, then we move to.
Let me see who's on page 8. Nope.
Okay, so no alternate version of some other hero.
Nope.
Okay. Then we move to what you and I have termed the Void.
Well, you didn't discuss Black Widow and Madam Hydra coming to an agreement.
Well, they haven't yet.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Yes, the Void, which is what it's called.
Wait, hang on. Huh, I remember her doing something different here, Madam Hydra. Oh, no, never mind. Yeah, so apparently Madam Hydra, I guess I missed it. I don't know. Madam Hydra is selling drugs to enrich herself using her Hydra influence.
Yes.
Natasha knows this and offers her a deal. So Madam Hydra pulls out both of her guns, kills the 2 Hydra guys next to her, and presumably they have some sort of discussion and come to an agreement.
Yes.
Meanwhile, we have these guys in the Void. It's Steve Rogers, Sam Wilson, and is that Rick Jones or Bucky? We're going to go with Rick Jones for now.
Okay, fine. Rick Jones.
they're hanging out at summer camp.
Yeah.
Fishing and sitting by the fire and just good old times. Yep. Meanwhile, Scott Lang is on a Quinjet headed for Wakanda because Black Panther has one of the shards of the Cosmic Cube. Really cool art on page 11.
Yeah, it is.
Where he's like sitting on the throne of Wakanda, flanked by these huge Black Panther statues, and he's looking very regal. He and Tony, hologram Tony, Tony's trying to convince him to hand over the Cosmic Cube piece that he's got. And that doesn't seem to be going very well. It doesn't go in his favor. Meanwhile, in Madripoor, another team is, it's the same Avengers team, are bidding up some ninjas in order to free Shang-Chi from prison, because Tony thought Shang-Chi had a piece of the Cosmic Cube. Turns out he doesn't. Turns out they've been running around for 2 weeks trying to find pieces of the Cosmic Cube. Tony thought he knew where they were. He doesn't. And everybody pretty much says, hey, look, dude, whatever method you're using, it doesn't work no more. Sorry.
Yeah.
And as we see later in the book, that's a real blow to the morale of the team. It was kind of the only plan they had, and now the trail's gone cold.
Yes.
Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., Hank McCoy, Beast, arrives in the Capitol to discuss the recent dealings between Newtian and Hydra occupied America, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, because Hank McCoy is the ambassador to the Hydra Nation. And they do it in front of Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, which is just laying on the ground where Steve left it after he picked it up. And they have a discussion on the nature of why he hasn't picked it up again. And you and I had a discussion about that. Why do you think it's that he hasn't picked it back up again?
I didn't know at the time. I had a hint, and that hint turned out to be true. He can't.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, is he can't. He leverages it in this discussion with Hank McCoy. He kind of, like a strong man does. He describes it as, look, I can pick up this hammer anytime I want to and wreak havoc. I don't, because I'm a merciful dictator or whatever. But the truth is he can't pick it up.
Yes, that is correct.
And meanwhile, Odin's son, Thor, is having an existential crisis over that. He knows what Steve is doing is evil, but at the same time, he was worthy enough to pick up the hammer. And so, what does Odin's son do? He's torn.
Right.
Weird Oedipus thing going on with Madam Hydra.
Yeah, it looks like in that panel about halfway down page 22 that they're going to kiss.
Yeah, it does. It's weird. The Avengers get back to the base. They're all happy to see each other, but the plan's gone to crap. So it's, things are not good. Meanwhile, they discover that there are Hydra airships on the way to destroy the Mount, where it seems they've been discovered. Meanwhile, back in the Void, the three guys have their fun little camping trip interrupted by the Red Skull, who's shirtless and covered in blood and wielding a 2x4 with spikes in it, essentially.
Yes.
Oh, and while the Mount is being destroyed, and probably many of our heroes that we have come to know and love are dying, Steve and Arnim Zola are having a little chat, and they go to this big bunker where Steve Banner's just hanging out in Steve Banner. Bruce Banner's just hanging out in a vault somewhere, just chilling.
Yeah.
He's got the Hulk. Oh no, by the way, Bruce Banner's alive again because reasons.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. That's your recap of what happened in Secret Empire 5. So lots of questions, specifically who that old guy is and what part does he play and why is he important. Is Natasha going to get out of this? What are they going to do with the Hulk? You know, who at the Mount has been vaporized by Hydra? Yeah, they really kicked it up a notch in this
issue. The Mount fight hasn't begun yet. That starts next issue.
Right, but it looks grim.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it can the Mount is built to withstand what those Hydra ships are doing to it.
Right, but that's just the opening salvo.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good picture of Red Skull.
It really is. The art in this book is really good.
Yeah.
As it should be.
Yeah. They cut a lot of flack for rotating artists from time to time on some of the panels, and some of the issues, but dude, it's really good.
I don't necessarily have an issue with that. Them rotating artists. I just don't want them having the impression. In fact, I think it's a good strategy if you really want to make deadlines. But I don't want them to get the idea that somehow I'm not buying these books because of the artist.
Right. I understand.
I mean, you and I've been trading Mike Deodato art back and forth that we keep finding, and we're just marveling at his art. You know, if you told me Mike Deodato was taking over one of the X-Men books right now, I'd be stoked.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
But see, if you look, the scenes with Black Widow and Madam Hydra, that was drawn by somebody else.
Yeah, you can definitely tell the difference in the art.
Right.
I don't think it's an issue. It doesn't bother
I don't either. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
Tell us about All New Guardians of the Galaxy Annual #1.
So is that all you got for Secret Empire #5?
Yeah. Is there something else you want to talk about?
Not really, no.
Okay.
It's going somewhere. It's and they did a good job of shipping it every 2 weeks. There's a gap at one point where it's 3 weeks between issues for some reason. I think they got like a week behind, but that's the only time it was even close to being behind.
I mean, that's forgivable.
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy Annual #1. It's a Secret Empire book, but
the cover's cool.
The cover's cool. The book's okay. I mean, it's
there's a neat little middle bit about Galactus, and that was really all that impressed me.
Yeah, I mean, this is Peter Quill going to find assistance for Captain Marvel, who's still stuck on the other side of the shield, outside of Earth, has been stuck there for a long period of time, and is going to be unless she finds help. And the first couple of pages show him going to different races, different space empires, and they're all saying, sorry, you're out of luck. We don't like Earth anyway. And then Peter Quill has to explain to Miss Marvel, people really don't like Earth. They really don't like us. And no one's really rushing to aid us. And yeah, that's kind of the book. It's okay. It was all right. It wasn't great.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know, Guardians of the Galaxy has not been good in a little while. It's not been bad, but it's not been, I don't know, it's just not blowing me away.
No.
Occupy Avengers #8 also didn't really blow me away. It's a decent tie-in. Basically the team that has been assembled, that Hawkeye's assembled after the Hydra takeover, essentially band together to help a bunch of rural residents in South Dakota fight back against Hydra. But this is also the book where we find that Nighthawk is dead. He was killed in 2 panels by a Hydra firing squad. And what's-her-name has taken over his role as Nighthawk. I can never remember her name.
When was he killed?
Page 3.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, that's all you get.
Okay.
Yeah. Shot to death out of costume by Hydra firing squad. The end.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
there's a funny little bit where back at the Mount, because Hawkeye is basically facilitating and running two separate freedom fighter cells. You've got the main one with the Avengers here, but as you can see in this book, he's also off with the Occupy Avengers. But in between, he has a little downtime for he and Natasha to get freaky in a maintenance closet. So
yeah, he and Natasha have been renewing their relationship during the course of this.
Yeah.
And that's actually a pretty funny scene when he walks out in the maintenance closet and everybody's there waiting on him.
Yeah, they're all waiting on him and his flies down. That's pretty good.
That's pretty funny.
Man, the art in this book sucks. It's bad.
It's bad.
It's real bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. There's some good art this week, and this isn't some of it.
No, this is because I read panel to panel, so I really see the art, and I was just like, "Oh, this is terrible."
Yeah,
it's not even like this isn't my style. It's just not good.
No, it's really not.
Yeah, poor art. But what are you gonna do?
I don't know, man.
This is probably your worst selling book, one of the worst selling books you have, and you're only keeping it around because you're tying it into a main event. So,
yeah. Amazing Spider-Man number 29. And this is a Secret War tie-in. Of course, we wrapped up the Osborn series last issue, and this issue begins the Secret War tie-in. Peter and Anna Maria are in London, where he's fixing to go live on the BBC and do some damage control for all the crazy things that Parker Industries has done in the last few issues.
Particularly overthrowing a country.
They did something. Oh, all their telephones, going off, and
the whole clone thing. Yeah,
the clone thing.
The phones going off and people melting in the street. That.
Right. So it's kind of been a bad week for couple of weeks, as I say, literally a couple of weeks for Parker Industries, and I think his stock is taking a hit, and he's trying to do damage control here. And when he goes to visit, while he's on the air, the Secret Empire happens. They get attacked from outer space. New York gets attacked, and Tony Stark sends out the distress call for everybody to come to Washington. And while he's doing that, Peter goes to visit his office in London. And he's looking around. He's like, maybe I do. Maybe I don't know these people. And he starts fighting them. And turns out they're
Hydra agents.
Well,
he starts talking to them, and he genuinely doesn't know who they are. And then one of them is like, he's on to us, and they just blow their cover. Quite honestly, had they not done that, he would have walked right past them because he doesn't know his employees well enough.
Well, he was close. I mean, he was kind of like, isn't this person supposed to be, or isn't that person supposed to be there? But finally, anyway, so Dr. Octopus calls him off, and he's back in Peter's office.
Yeah. I really like this Hydra Ock, by the way.
Dude, that's good looking art, good looking costume there on page 11 too. It looks good, man.
They did this with the Spider-Man cartoon on Disney, where they made him like he was like a big time Hydra agent, and it worked out really well. And I really like that iteration of the character, and I think this is really cool.
Right. So Dr. Octopus just wants one thing. He just wants Peter to sign Parker Industries over to him, because in his mind, Otto built Parker Industries, and turns out he kind of did. He did. He formed it while he was Superior Spider-Man. He had a lot of the inventions. While he was the robot, he manipulated the stock so that the stock would go up. He reminds Peter that some of his best technology is actually stolen from the Spider-Verse universe. And Peter, of course, refuses to do it. And they start throwing down in the fight. And while they're throwing down in the fight, Stark's message comes in for all the Avengers to report to Washington, D.C. And Peter's left with trying to figure out, does he go there? Does he not go there? What does he do? Finally, he goes there, and Otto Octopus blows up the London headquarters, which is of course another piece of damage to Peter's empire, which is literally and figuratively crumbling around him at this point.
Yeah. Oh, also they made it look like the Dark Force thing that's over Manhattan is Parker Industries' fault.
Yeah, they made that look like it was emanating out of the Baxter building, which Peter owns, and it's his fault. Yeah. So his stock's about to really tank.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, if you know the whole Parker Industries thing, if you don't know what we're talking about, during Superior Spider-Man, which you should read, they swapped brains. So Doc Ock was in Peter Parker's body. And Peter Parker was just dead because Doc Ock's body died. Comic books. Anyway, it was probably some of the best Spider-Man writing in years and worth reading. But that's what happened.
Yeah, really good.
Mighty Captain Marvel. They've been fighting with the Shield or the Chitauri above the Shield for a long time now. Things are getting desperate. That's pretty much the gist of that book.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Next up is our Spider-Man books with Ben Reilly, The Scarlet Spider #4. You know, we have banged on Peter David a lot for Spider-Man 2099 and how bad that book is. And it's not that it's bad. It's just, maybe it's just not for me and you, because it seems to have a cast of thousands and be meandering through the woods and not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Whereas, and I feel the same way about this book.
No, I don't, man. I completely disagree. I think this book has direction and is absolutely going somewhere.
You think?
You didn't enjoy this?
It's okay, but I don't know. I'm just not in love with it.
And it's got Mark Bagley's art, which helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it opens with Kane being attacked by some guys. And I'm not sure who these guys work for, actually. I don't know. But anyway, so Kane puts him out pretty quick. And then we go to, what's this Enforcer's dude's name? Slate. Oh, Slate. And he's trying to figure out who attacked the casino last issue. And he figures it out. And then we go back to Kane, who's made it to Las Vegas and a casino. And of course, everybody thinks he is Ben Reilly because they look alike, right down to how disfigured they are. So Slate finds him, and Kane figures out what's going on, that Ben Reilly's running the scam, and Slate leads him up to Ben Reilly's office, and that's where he and Ben Reilly see each other face to face, and then start having a throwdown. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
It's okay. It's whatever. We'll see where it goes. It's only issue 4. We'll see where it goes.
It's good art, man.
The art is good. I'll say that.
That last page where Kane and Reilly are facing off is really a good panel.
Yeah. The art in Spider-Gwen #21 is also very good. Robbie Rodriguez has really established his style in this book, or at least given it its own particular style. And dude, this is just a solid book, like it always is. You're continuing the storyline with, Captain Stacy's in jail, and Matt Murdock's supposed to be getting him out, but Matt Murdock's the kingpin. And he and Foggy Nelson are up to some stuff. Like they work out a shady deal to get some guy out of a mistrial. Did you read this?
I have not. I'm way behind on Spider-Gwen. I want to go back and reread it.
The case is Matt Murdock versus Foggy Nelson. And apparently, despite all the evidence, the judge can't use the evidence in the case because Foggy Nelson tampered with the evidence or mishandled it in some way. And so she has to declare a mistrial and dude gets to go free. And what you realize here is that Matt Murdock, the kingpin of crime in this universe, has manipulated Foggy into throwing the case. And that is so unlike the Foggy Nelson that we know that it makes me wonder, is this Foggy Nelson just a welcome mat who doesn't have the spine that we see from the Foggy Nelson in the 616 universe? Because Foggy's he's always the North Star.
Right.
When Daredevil is torn over what is the right thing to do, Foggy knows.
Sure.
And that's not the case in this universe, it looks like. Meanwhile, Gwen's helping Harry Osborn, who's slowly turning into a lizard person. They get ambushed by they discuss a cure and more about the Venom stuff, and then they get ambushed by some ninjas who counter ambushed by Wolverine and Kitty Pryde, who is basically X-23 of this universe. And the guy that in the beginning that they were able to mistrial and release from prison, well, now he's occupying a cell with Captain Stacy. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Can I go ahead and talk about Edge of Venomverse real quick since we're here?
Knock yourself out, man.
So I didn't know what this was going to be. I thought it was going to be something completely different. In fact, I thought it was going to tie into the Spider-Gwen stuff because they're ramping up to Venom stuff in that book. But it turns out Venomverse is going to be a totally different alternate universe for Marvel, where the Venom symbiote is rampant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a whole thing of, in this universe, Venom is everywhere. So apparently, yes. That's the thing. We have X-23 that we see in this first scene here. She's trying to escape from Weapon X and kills a bunch of dudes. In doing so, she stumbles into a science lab and comes in contact with the symbiote. Later, she's squatting in an abandoned building and meets some other homeless kids who she befriends and shares the symbiote with, and they all become Venom people. And eventually, they're like perpetrating a heist, stealing ice cream from an ice cream truck. When Weapon X catches up to her and is able to take her into custody and bring her in, where she is met with Captain America, but it's Venom Captain America.
Yeah.
So apparently, if it's like the Marvel zombie universe, except with Venom.
Yeah. As we talked about earlier, I threw some articles up because I had no idea what this was, but I really got intrigued by the Laura Kinney Venom there at the beginning, and yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I'll be reading it. It was pretty good.
I thought so. I thought
also they kind of aged Laura Kinney down in this, so she's even younger, and it just makes what she is even more unsettling.
Yeah, they basically made her to what you see in the Logan movie.
Yeah, she's like 9 or 10.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah, whereas in the comics, she's like a teenager.
20-ish. Yeah, 20.
Well, now she would be, but when she first came around, she would have been 15-ish. But anyway, moving on to our X-Men books is Cable #2, where Cable fights some samurai, and then time jumps to another time zone or time period.
Who is the bad guy in this book? Is it Strife?
Might be. I really don't know.
Do we care?
Maybe this is going somewhere. It's only issue #2, but right now, I don't care now.
I mean, I said after issue 1, Marvel did a big rollout for this thing, and you don't. I'm the only of the two of us. I'm the one that goes comic book stores. Okay, big rollout. Handouts, posters, the whole thing.
Yeah,
and which they don't do with all these books. So
no,
I thought this must be, and they didn't do it with all these X books that they're relaunching here. They did it with like Gold and Blue, but they didn't do it with Gen X. They didn't do it with Jean Grey. They didn't do it with some of the others. So I thought, they're putting a lot into this Cable book, and I've been really disappointed in it with the first 2 issues, man. I don't know what it's about.
Yeah, I kind of have been too. I gave it the benefit of the doubt after issue #1 because it was just issue #1, but I don't know what you're doing here.
Yeah, I don't either. I do know what they're doing in Jean Grey #3.
Yeah,
excuse me. 3.
This Jean Grey book has been really good too.
Yeah, and you were warned about spoilers at the top. Here's another brief warning. So I'm going to pause for just a moment. Now, Rich, pause. Okay, we know this is coming to the Phoenix Resurrection, which is happening now in the comic book store, get to us in about 6 months. What's happening in this book, and I did not realize when this book began, this is what this entire book would be about. I've read the last few issues. I've read issues 8, 9, and 10, which lead into Phoenix, the Phoenix books that are coming, Phoenix Resurrection. But I haven't read these. And what's happening is Jean Grey is desperately trying to prevent what happened to her 616 version, the older Jean Grey. She's desperately trying to prevent being taken over by the Phoenix and becoming Dark Phoenix. So she's finding people who have been
possessed
or have held the Phoenix Force before and having discussions with them. And in this issue, she decides to find out Namor. Now, he's obviously not an easy dude to find, so she goes to the depths of the sea, gets attacked by a sea creature.
No, he was dead until a couple months ago.
Well, yeah, but Marvel time. I don't know how long that's been. Weeks, months, years, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they start talking, and the whole time they're fighting the fish, and
it's not a fish; it's a kraken. It's an undersea beast.
Okay, it's a kraken. I thought Kraken was the dude that's running around Captain America, but okay,
it is. But a kraken, the character that Kraken is based on, or the creature that's based on, is it's usually some sort of tentacled squid-like thing, but any sort of undersea monster is a kraken.
So anyway,
so
they're fighting it. Namor insults Jean Grey several times, saying that you're not the grown-up version, and you need to quit playing like an adult. And he tells her to just you want to know what it's like in my head? Sure, come on in and look. And I guess you should have. I guess anytime anybody invites you inside Namor's head, you shouldn't go. But because he looks calm and composed on the outside, and turns out he's not in there either.
No,
he's
not
simply putting up a brave front because he's a king and he has to. So yeah. Then the monster returns. Jean Grey defeats it, and Namor's proud of her. Says she's not a tadpole anymore. Maybe she'll get through this mess after all. We'll see.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And then X-Men Blue #6 also deals with Jean Grey. She's kind of the focus character of this book, along with the others. There's this big festival happening in Madripoor, which is where they're staying with Magneto, because they live with Magneto now. If you haven't been reading this, so she decides she wants to go out for a little while, get out of the base or the house or wherever they are. But Cyclops is training with Magneto, so he's not up for it. So her and Hank and Jimmy Hudson decide to go for a night out in the town in Madripoor, which is all spoiled when Jimmy Hudson stumbles upon some folks selling mutant growth hormone, which is a drug.
Yeah.
There's a big alleyway fight. They run across some other mutants who are attempting to bust up this mutant growth hormone ring. They start fighting them, but when Jimmy pops his claws, they call it off because they're dedicated to the memory of Patch or whatever. By the way, Patch was
Wolverine.
Was Wolverine's persona when he lived in Madripoor. And they're going to train to be ninjas now. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
That brings us to our only. Oh no, wait. We have a Weapons of Mass Destruction book, which is Totally Awesome Hulk #20, which was okay. I mean, it's the point of this whole book is Lady Deathstrike and Amadeus Cho are out looking for a mutant or not a mutant, but somebody who's going to be taken over by Weapon X. They find him. Lady Deathstrike wants to kill him. Amadeus Cho is determined not to. They're making a big deal of this whole Amadeus Cho not embracing the Hulk thing. They're going somewhere with that in about 6 months. I wish they'd get there.
I heard you.
That's
it was okay. It was all right.
It was okay. I mean, it was all right. It's just um, without just spending 10 minutes into spoilers with what they're going to do in Amadeus Cho in upcoming months and what they're going to do with them in Marvel Legacy. I mean, they've got plans. I just wish they'd get on with it. And I don't know what they're doing here. So there you go. That brings us to our 616 books, which the first of which is Black Panther number 15. What do you call these things that they're fighting? The old gods of Wakanda have their magical portals opening. And beasts are coming through the magical portals because of the old gods of Wakanda have gone missing. Have I got that right?
They're dead.
Okay. The recap page said missing, but okay, we'll go for dead.
Well, they discussed it in this issue. They're dead. Or at least they suspect that they're dead.
So the book begins with all of our characters fighting some of these creatures that are coming through one portal. And they managed to close this one portal, but it's at a pretty high cost. And then it turns out that there's I can't even count how many are on this page. There's portals opening everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of screwed because they managed to get one closed and it, took everything they had, put one of them in a coma. And yeah, I see what you're saying now. The gods are dead. Yeah, there you go. I don't know, man. This thing is kind of.
It's way different from the first 10 issues of this comic book. You had West Wing level political intrigue going on, and now it's the gods are dead and we're having to fight evil things coming out of portals. It's much more action oriented, which I'm actually okay with. You get to see a different side of Ta-Nehisi Coates' writing here. It's fine. I think there's a little more to it than just the gods are dead. I think they're trying to do something with it, but we'll see.
And again, I know some stuff from Legacy, which is kind of where they're going, but at the end, he goes and asks Ororo Munroe Storm for help because somehow this is tied to elements, which I really didn't understand. And she apparently is going to help him.
Yeah. He's obsessed with her.
Well, yeah.
We keep seeing them together all the time.
Yep. That brings us to Deadpool versus Punisher number 5. And this is actually a pretty good book because it wakes where Frank wakes up, where he's been shot in the head. He and Deadpool have been taking turns shooting each other in the head. And Banks has got the money and has got his kid who's got all the codes memorized because the kid's autistic. So he's got all the bank codes memorized. And they're actually floating on this oil rig, which is where he keeps all the money, all the gold, all the bank codes, everything. And it's a great fight scene. I can talk about it, but it's Deadpool and Frank Castle fighting each other for an issue. And on page 19, in front of this kid, they blow Banks' head off very graphically. So this is obviously not for children. Did you not read this?
Nah, it was the one book I didn't get to.
Dude, graphically, man. I really graphically. And at the end, Deadpool's just trying to take the kid away and hope he has a normal life. But even the kid says, yeah, I'm going to grow up and become a supervillain.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, he's seen his mom die. He's seen his dad be shot by his Uncle Deadpool. That's literally what he calls him, Uncle Deadpool. He's seen his dad killed by Uncle Deadpool and the Punisher. The kid's on the path to be a supervillain. And he just says it. This has been a great series, man. This is the last issue. This was a great series. Yeah.
I'm going to have to go back and read the last. I might just read it all again because I'm going to think 2 issues behind.
This was good, man. This was really good.
Cool. Defenders number 2 was really good. First of all, Bendis's writing is great, and the fact that Marvel has lost him is a tragedy that I don't think they understand the scope of. Also, the art in this book is top notch.
Yeah, it is.
So Luke Cage got pretty well wrecked by Diamondback. Is it Diamondback?
Yes, it's Diamondback.
I got confused for a minute because the Luke Cage solo book is not dissimilar. he got pretty well wrecked by Diamondback. So Jessica, recovering from her own gunshot wound merely hours ago, is running down the street to the night nurse's medical center, where she's desperately trying to save Luke. And meanwhile, Daredevil meets with Ben Urich for some information. Blade shows up. Guy we don't see too often. Blade with some sort of antidote for whatever's going on with Luke. He's been poisoned. Saves him. Meanwhile, at some hoity-toity charity event for rich people, Wilson Fisk is trying to raise money for something. Maybe. They never really say what it is, and I have to wonder if it's like a political fundraiser.
You assume it is.
Yeah, I assume it is. Where Danny Rand meets him, and they have a little conversation about what Kingpin's up to. Meanwhile, now that everybody's feeling better, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Daredevil go try to beat up Diamondback. That doesn't go well for him. Not Luke Cage, Iron Fist. That doesn't really go well for them, even with all of their might combined. They escape under mysterious circumstances, and then our three heroes are shot in the alleyway by none other than the Punisher. So there's a twist.
Yeah, this book, even as I'm buying it on the newsstand now, just has an ongoing turnover of guest stars. They're just the Punisher, Wilson Fisk, whoever. There's just continually people appearing every issue. It's pretty cool. All the street level heroes you would expect to see in New York.
Yeah, which is what you want from a Defenders book.
Yeah.
Then we have Doctor Strange and the Sorcerer Supreme, number 9. I'll be honest, I've kind of lost the plot here. They're trapped in this book, and they're fighting the book, and they escape from the book, and then they're fighting this big hand monster that they've been fighting since issue like 3, and it gets vanquished finally, and they all decide to go home. But then something happens to Wiccan, and he passes out and falls out on the ground, and he's going to die or something. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. This is issue number 9. I assume this is going to wrap up with issue 10 or 12, and it's not a bad book. Maybe it's better read all at once.
Let me spiral off of that. This Elektra book, this is a 5-issue limited series. I don't know why they don't build these as this anymore, but that's what it is. That's what that Bullseye book was.
Mm-hmm.
First off, bill it as that. Okay, just tell me you're going to give me 5 issues, and then you're going to put it in a trade paperback. Fine.
Yeah.
She fights Arcade, which is the waste of a book that I don't understand.
Right. I mean, she's been fighting Arcade for 4 issues.
The whole book. She fights him in this book. Now, the only redeeming part of this is, I don't know this guy's style, but the artist is Juan Cabal. Juan Cabal.
Yeah.
Juan Cabal. And there's a couple of pages that are really beautiful on this thing. And the last page in particular, page 9, I think it's page 13. 12. Yeah, page 13. And then the last page, they're just beautiful. And there's just so much more you could have done with a 5-issue Elektra series than have her fight Arcade. And then the last 3 or 4 pages, have him tell Elektra he was hired by Wilson Fisk to take Elektra, Deadpool, both the Deadpools, and other people off the playing board. And that's what's going on here. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
This book just could have been so much better than this. You could have done so much more with an Elektra book, and I was just really disappointed in this thing.
Yeah. At the end, she goes back to New York and back to her old life of being Elektra.
Yeah, because she knows that's what she has to do to confront
right. making
Wilson Fisk
everything we've just seen irrelevant.
Yeah, dude, we've seen 4-issue limited series, whether it was the Wolverine limited series or, that's the one that immediately comes to mind. I've seen 4 issues change the history of comic books, and this is 5 issues that was just wasted.
Yeah, you're going to dig the 5 issues of this out of a 50-cent bin in a couple years.
Dude, Claremont did Future Imperfect. No, not Future Imperfect. Days of Future Past, which was 2 issues. And there are movies being made and stories still spinning off those 2 issues, man. That was 2 issues.
Yeah.
In the X-Men.
From almost 30 years ago. And
there's still stories being spun off of them. And this is 5 issues that were just a waste with a great character.
Yeah.
So, and another waste, which is I Am Groot #2.
What is this book?
I don't know. I don't even care, man. He's trapped on this Smurf world. The Smurfs are making some kind of offering to this temple. In the temple is some kind of money changer, and he's trying to get back to his own reality. I don't know. I don't care. You think I'm exaggerating about Smurfs? Look at them, dude. They're Smurfs. Okay. I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah, I started
too long talking about it.
I started reading it and I was like, what is this? And I flipped ahead a couple pages and just kind of like skimmed it and was reading the dialogue. And then I was like, what is going on? It's like a acid trip. I don't know. This book's weird. They're getting real weird with these solo Guardians of the Galaxy books. And I wish they'd just quit.
Dude, just stop, man.
That Rocket book is at least halfway decent for being as weird as it is.
Yeah, the Rocket book's okay. I mean, it at least has a plot you can follow and characters that you're interested in, and it, it's pretty good. Okay, yeah. This thing, man, you're right. This is just a bad acid trip.
Yeah. In Infamous Iron Man #9, Victor Von Doom might be having a bad acid trip. Because he's traveled into the future and is meeting Tony Stark, who's also the Sorcerer Supreme, who tells him you can't be Iron Man. You don't know what will happen if you do. Something terrible, whatever. He snaps out of it and falls over, and Riri Williams is there and she doesn't really know what to do. So she just takes him to S.H.I.E.L.D. Meanwhile, Johnny Storm and Ben Grimm meet at a pizza place and have a discussion about how Ben just saw Reed Richards in his hotel room and he told him to kill Victor Von Doom, and that's weird. Yeah, what you and I both know that's probably the maker. Anyway, it's a nice little scene between the two of them because they haven't seen each other since Sue and Reed disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, aboard a S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, they have Victor Von Doom in a cell. And there's a number of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents discussing. They're basically making allusions to how he's Hitler. And if they wanted to, they could just walk in there right now and put a bullet between his eyes and it'd all be over.
Right.
Which at some point, some of them decide to do. They stage a coup and are going to try to kill him when in fact one of them gets mind controlled, kills the other agents, and essentially frees Victor Von Doom. We find out it was his mother, who, by the way, it looks a whole lot like Scarlet Witch. That can't be accidental, right?
I think it is.
I don't know, dude. They're both from the same region of the world too.
I mean, they're both gypsies. They're both from back there in that part of the world.
She practices magic. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's,
Gypsies wearing red, practicing magic, and Victor Von Doom and Scarlet Witch. I mean, are they going to turn these two into siblings? Or
nah, I don't think so.
Okay. Anyway, she snaps him up and takes him to wherever she's holed up or whatever. But now we're going to learn more about his mom.
Yeah.
It was a good issue.
It was a very good issue.
Yeah. Should I talk about Moon Girl?
Yeah, I've been sitting here scanning it.
Okay.
And it actually looks entertaining because
it is really good.
It was assigned to me and I forgot to read it.
Yeah. It's a really good issue. I really like this book. I like what they're doing with Moon Girl, putting her in space. She meets Illa, who is a sentient moon, much like Ego the Living Planet. In fact, as we find out, Ego the Living Planet is her father in a planetary way. Ego the Living Planet got hit by a asteroid. Some parts of him flew off into space and formed a planet, and she's that planet. Technically, she's a moon. Yeah, and she needs help with a problem that she's having, and she called Moon Girl to help her out.
I was more fascinated by the Doombot head that is attached to a Rocky horse, which is controlling all the Lunella robots that are taking her place while she's gone.
Yeah. She has all these like they're like really primitive LMDs that are just taking her place in school and stuff while she's adventuring in space. And, oh, dude, if you haven't been reading this for a couple issues, the Doombot head is great because he's not attached to that Rocky horse. He's just a head, and she keeps like just putting him different places.
Right.
At one point, he's on top of like an arcade cabinet, and he's just this snarky Doombot.
But is he not taking control of the Moon Girl robots?
He's in charge while she's away.
That's going to end well.
Yeah, that's going to end real well.
That's going to end real well.
And then at the end, she tries to leave the moon that she's on because she's in way over her head. And something happens with her spaceship and she goes through time. She makes it back to the New York the way she meant to, but it's in the future or maybe the different universe. I'm not sure. Anyway, she runs into a doppelganger of herself and Devil Dinosaur.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah. Now for something completely different. The Punisher, number 13. This was also maybe one of the best single issues of The Punisher ever written. The Punisher's back in town. He's back in New York. We discover this by being introduced to these three kids who are on their way to school one morning, and one of them pulls out from his backpack a Nintendo Switch. And they're like, oh, cool, Nintendo Switch. Let me see it. I can't believe you got one. And they come across a police line. The police officer's like, you guys got to leave now. And they look up, and the Punisher has literally lynched a guy from a light pole and hung a sign around the dead guy's neck that says, ask me about the body I dumped. Meanwhile, we catch up with the Punisher, who's in one of his nondescript underground layers. So he's home now. He's back in his Punisher lair. He makes himself a cup of coffee, and he's just kind of enjoying being home for a minute when he realizes one of his guns is missing. So he looks through some security footage, finds whoever stole his gun and how they ever got in. Turns out it's one of the kids that we just saw that was on his way to school, and he did it on a dare. So after school one day, the Punisher confronts him, and the kid's like, how did you find me? And the Punisher's like, Facebook, dude, you're everywhere. So he basically goes stern dad on the kid, extorting information from him and saying, okay, why'd you take the gun? Where is it? Why did you do it? You know, it turns out the kid did it and then sold it so he could get the money to buy the Switch because he's going to this fancy school on a math scholarship. He's like, okay, the Punisher's like, okay, listen, you're never going to do any of this again. You're going to tell me how you got into my base and help me fix whatever security flaw you hacked into, you little butthead. And then go study because you need to keep that math scholarship. Punisher walks into the pawn shop that the kid sold it to and basically shakes the guy down. He's like, you sold a gun to a kid, or you bought a gun from a kid. It was mine. What the heck are you doing buying guns from kids? If you ever do it again, I'll kill you. Okay. And also, where's my gun? Turns out he sold it to some lady. He tries to go get it back from the lady. She ain't having it. So he stakes the place out. That evening, dude rolls up in a car, walks into her apartment. Actually, he doesn't walk into her apartment. He sneaks in through the fire escape. Frank finds that suspicious, so he's going to go have a chat with the guy. Except when he jumps down from his perch or whatever to go into the apartment, all dude's buddies get out of the car and are like, yeah, I don't know where you think you're going. And Punisher lays the smackdown on the guys because he knows they're just no good. So Punisher goes in through the fire escape, and it turns out it's like a domestic situation. This lady and this dude were in a relationship, and now they're not. And, she doesn't want her kid around him because he's involved with crime of some kind. He's going to kill her. So Punisher busts in, beats the crap out of the guy. Typical stuff. Actually, the fight goes pretty bad for Frank. He gets thrown at the bottom of some stairs and takes a couple bad hits. Dude points the gun at the Punisher's head and he says, "Oh, the Punisher being killed by his own gun. How ironic." And he pulls the trigger and blows his own hand off. The gun backfires in his face. And the guy's hand is literally severed. There's like a single finger hanging onto a stub. It's pretty gross. Punisher takes that moment to knock him out. The lady's like, "How did you know that was going to happen?" Turns out Punisher modified the gun so that only he could shoot it. Anybody else tried to shoot it, it would blow up in their face. And the lady's pretty pissed about the whole incident because her house is destroyed and he's taking the gun with her, which she spent good money on. And he's like, "Look, lady, I'm not trying to get in the middle of your life. I was just trying to get my gun back. By the way, if you go see the guy at the pawn shop, trust me, he'll give you a refund." So at one point, in one point in time, one of the thugs he'd beat up before he goes into the apartment, he didn't kill him. He just beat the crap out of him and threw him in the trunk of the car. Well, now he opens the trunk of the car with dude over his shoulder who blew his hand off. And the guy that's already in the trunk of the car is like, "Dude, if you just let me go, I promise I won't tell anybody." Frank throws the lifeless body of his friend in the trunk with him, shuts the door, and drives away. It was one of the best issues of the Punisher I've ever read. It was great.
Apparently, you just spent like 5 minutes talking about it.
Apparently it was. Usually I wait. The Punisher is usually a quick read for me because it's usually a lot of action scenes. And I actually waited. It was the last thing I read, and I was just delighted. It was great. It was so good.
That's cool.
As for Podameron number 16,
I was going to give you. I was going to do the Star Wars droids and let you catch your breath.
Oh no, I'm fine. Just let me go.
Okay.
They wrap up the storyline with this tanker. There's some stuff going on with Agent Terrax. He's upset. He doesn't really like this being a robot for the incompetent people of the First Order. Then you have Dr. Aphra number 8. It's the resolution to this weird Queen storyline that's been going on. It's not half bad. It's worth a read if you like the Star Wars stuff.
And then you have the droids.
Yeah.
The first story is I don't even know. It's a couple of droids trying to be friends. I don't know. The second story is Leia trying to send Luke on a mission, and Luke sends R2-D2 to prep his X-wing, and R2-D2 keeps running into problems along the way. It's pretty funny. It's kind of humorous. And then the last one is a BB droid trying to set his X-wing pilot up with a mechanic, and he keeps making the X-wing malfunction so that the mechanic will have to come over and work on it, and then they fall in love when she finally does. It's pretty cute.
You realize those are Poe Dameron's parents, right?
Not really, but okay.
Yeah, it's Poe Dameron's parents.
Is it really?
Yeah. Well, all of these are reprints from issues of Star Wars. These will show up as like little backup stories in Star Wars occasionally, and all 3 of these are reprints from that.
How do you know this is Poe Dameron's parents?
Because there was a whole comic book series about his parents that happens immediately after Return of the Jedi, and it's the same characters.
Okay. So they were put together by a BB-8 droid.
No, but maybe, but yeah, kind of, yes. It's also why BB-8 is so special to Poe Dameron.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, that's cute. All righty then.
What was your favorite book this week, Pat?
It was either that Deadpool Punisher book or Secret Empire number 5. I will go with Secret Empire number 5. Well, that Spider-Man book came in close too. Secret Empire number 5.
Yeah, mine was Punisher 13 by a mile.
Okay.
Yeah. It was great, as I just demonstrated.
Well, apparently, I can tell you loved it.
Yeah. In the dump this week is a bunch of Daredevil from the 70s. Some pretty good stuff there. For your classic read, in the Discover tab, there are both Venom and Jean Grey exposés, both of which contain key issues if you want to know more about those characters. I would suggest reading both.
Yeah. I'm really, anyone who hasn't figured it out, I'm really excited about this Jean Grey stuff.
Yeah, me too. That'll pretty much do it for us this week. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. The number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. Please visit the website
www.6monthsbehind.com.
And as always, Pat, do you have a little wisdom for us before we go?
I'm not lazy. I'm just in my energy saving mode.
That's going to be me in about 30 minutes.
I thought it'd be less than that.
Might be. All right. See you guys later.
Peace.